So, without further ado, I would like to welcome to the stage a man who took a train to be here from Houston, Texas. I don't remember how I ran into Maxwell. I think he just reached out to me. I'm not quite sure how we ended up running into each other, but I'm so glad that I have. He's inspired me so much, and he's truly inspirational on so many levels. Book writer, podcaster, YouTuber, but he is totally blind, and I would like to have him come to the stage. So maybe if Amy, could you help him get over here, please, or over here over to the up front. Yes. Everybody, I give you Maxwell Ivey. Woo! All right.
Am I facing the right way?
You are facing the right way. The only thing is there's a couple rugs here, so why don't we bring you over this way a little bit? Just watch because of the rugs.
Yeah, Joe has been my host for the last couple of days, and he knows I'm not heavily coordinated.
It's all good. It's all good.
So far, we've managed to avoid me falling anywhere, which is better than my last trip. So,
What? Really?
yeah, I fell twice in New York.
Wow.
You didn't read my Facebook post? Man.
Facebook chooses who to let see things
Yeah, we've had that conversation.
and when. So,
Yeah,
here's
okay.
the microphone.
All right, cool. Could somebody out there please get a couple of photos for me? Thank you. All right. You know, my name is Max Ivey, and I am known as the Blind Blogger. And I was sitting there thinking about Joe as he was giving the introduction, and I was thinking about my topic, which is just press publish or just press send, something I've talked about quite often. And I was thinking, you know, Joe is a man after my own heart, because here he is up here. He's doing his welcome. None of his technology is working the way it was supposed to, but yet he just continues to put on his show, make the points he needs to make, and keep moving forward. And that's so much in line with what I have been doing over the years since I started in 2007. In 2007, I realized that I was no longer going to be in the carnival business, which is where my family started. I turned to helping people broker amusement equipment, which meant I had to learn what the heck the online world was about as far as creating a website, learning HTML, recording videos, as Joe mentioned. And people have said, Max, you're doing all this great stuff online, and we think you're inspirational, so we want you to share more. So, Joe, yes, I did reach out to Joe. For people who know me, I'm kind of prolific as far as asking for stuff and sending out pitch emails. And I think that's what we need to talk about most, and that is that nobody is really ever ready. For example, I know for a fact that I am not ready to give this talk today, but I'm up here doing it because it's part of my process. It's something that I want to do, something I believe I can do, something my friends have told me I would be good at. And it's another way for me to share my story and my experiences. So one of my favorite stories about not being ready was when I created my first website. And I didn't have the first clue how I was going to do it. So I went online and I found the W3C school. I went through the different parts of it. And I created a website that I thought was pretty good. I picked out my colors, yellow, blue, and red. And I thought that looked good until somebody told me, Max, this is really, really bright. Somebody once said that Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder could have had an argument over it was so bright. You know, it was bad. It was very bad. But the thing is I didn't focus on whether or not my website was perfect, on whether or not it was even good. I focused on getting traffic to the site, recruiting clients to list their equipment on the website, promoting the items on social media, and basically just focusing on what I could do, what I could do something about on a daily basis, and doing that. And I've since come to the conclusion that in what's worked for me, there are 4 steps. And the first one is, can I do it? So of the many things you have to do during the day to get your blog online, your podcast, if it's something you can do, then go ahead and do it right away. because nothing good happens by putting it off to tomorrow, next week, or someday. If you can't do it, then can you learn it? If you can learn it, then who would teach it to you? You know, can you contact a mentor? Is there a class you can sign up for? Is there online stuff such as podcasts you can watch where somebody else has already done it before can teach you? If you can't do it and you can't learn it, then can you hire somebody to do it for you? Or can you get somebody to do it for you? And I've been very blessed as far as asking people to do things for me. Quite often they've done it for free or for less than they would usually charge, or they've given me payment plans, but it was great that they were willing to help me, and most of them said it was because I asked sincerely and I followed their instructions once they gave them to me. So if you can do it, fine, do it. If you can't do it, can you learn it? If you can't do it and you can't learn it and you can't get somebody else to do it for you, then put it off to the side and just ignore it, because if you focus on the things that you can actually have some small bit of control over every day, you don't really have time left over to think about the things you can't do, to think about the stuff you're not good at yet. So those are my 4 steps. And then the 5th step is, after you do stuff, people are going to come to you and they're going to go, you know, you did really good at that, but there's some other things you could do. And I like to tell my friends that one of the best things that ever happened to me was to have a good friend double dog dare me to write my first book. Hey, I'm glad they actually know what double dog dare means. I'm glad to hear that. I was afraid that I was so old nobody would know what that meant anymore. But yeah, I mean, a woman got connected with me online and said, Max, I want to have you at a summit, but you need to write a book or record a course or do something that you can sell or give away at the summit. And she challenged me to do it in a month. And then she decided that they wanted to make it an all-woman summit, so they didn't need me and I didn't need the book. But for those of you who are authors, once you start writing, once you remember that you love to write, it's kind of hard to stop writing. So I finished the book. I found a great editor online who actually found me by, getting a hold of me and saying, Max, your blog could be better. Here's how it could be better, and I'm willing to help you. So I found a great editor. The book got published in January 2014. It's got a lot of great reviews. It's called Leading You Out of the Darkness into the Light, A Blind Man's Inspirational Guide to Success. Didn't plan on writing that book. When the book was finished, I didn't plan on writing 2 more. So for those people who are bloggers and authors, I do think it is kind of addictive. So yeah, I do think that having a really good friend who will either dare you to do something that's totally out of your comfort zone, totally crazy and foreign to you, or having that crazy friend who, when you call them up in the middle of the night and tell them, hey, I'm fixing to go bungee jumping, what do you think about it? And their answer will be, yeah, go ahead, I'm going to come with you. Or go ahead and publish the book. I'll be the first person to post a 5-star review for you. And I've been really blessed to find great friends like that, especially online. For those of you who don't know about this yet, this is the first time I have done any event where I've been face-to-face with people in over 3 years of being online and being the blind blogger. And the reason for that is because I have made so many great friends online. People through blogging, through commenting, or through, like with Joe, just finding their email address and sending them an email and saying, hey, you need to have me on your show. Yeah, and that, I guess, brings me back to my main point, and that is a lot of us are doing things, or we're thinking about doing something, and we're thinking, we're not ready for it yet. I know that when Joe's email came into my inbox and it said he was looking for people to talk at Dreamcon, I was like, I want to do that. And this could be a sign that it's finally time to go do it for the first time, or it could be a sign that, Max, you need to get more selective at stuff you say yes to. And I think that's one of the real dangers of doing things and being successful is you get to the point where you have to learn how to say no. And I haven't really done that yet. But we have, I'm sure there are bloggers in here, podcasters, But the main people I hope are listening to me are people who have started and stopped, got stuck, or still thinking about starting, and you're thinking, why should I put my stuff out there? Why should I press publish or send? Why should I email somebody and tell them I want to be on their radio show or their podcast? Because I'm not ready yet. My website isn't good enough. My email that I send to them, there's no way they'll read my email and decide they need to have me. I've never done an interview before. I've never written a guest post before. So many things I've never done before. There's no way that I can do this now. And I don't know why I can do it. I wish I could give people an answer as to why I can do it. I tell people all the time, I think I'm just not smart enough to be scared. But you have to just go ahead and press send. You have to put that blog post up, and if people criticize it, just remind yourself that it's your first blog post. If you put that first podcast up and nobody listens, then remind yourself that maybe nobody knows you even put it out there yet. And if you're thinking that everybody else has already said what you're going to say, then remember that nobody has said it the way you're going to say it, the words you're going to say it. Everybody is unique. I was talking to Erica, a lady who I had to come 1,600 miles to meet, who we've been talking online. And we talked about how everybody has a story. And most of y'all's stories are probably better than mine. The thing is I've been telling mine. I hope more people out there will start telling theirs. And that means you have to start by writing that first blog post, writing that first chapter of the book, submitting your work to Amazon, CreateSpace, iTunes, telling people that you actually are an author or a musician or a filmmaker. And to that point, I think the best thing I've done all week is I can now not only tell people I'm a writer, that I'm a 3-time self-published author, an award-winning author, but I now have books in my messenger bag. I carry them with me, and I'm no longer afraid to show my work to somebody and say, hey, I am an author. I am the blind blogger. It's taken 3 years to get there. It's taken 10 years to get there as the Midway Marketplace, as Mr. Midway. It all started 10 years ago in September when I decided to file for a domain name, decided to take that first small step, start down this long, crazy road, and who knows where it's going to end. Okay, I know I've rambled. For me, I'm going to give myself about a C, maybe a C+. And I'm going to ask Joe if his friend will take me back to my seat. And I do hope to hear from many of y'all online. I'm at theblindblogger.net, or you can just email me at justask@theblindblogger.net. I love making new friends, meeting new people, and seeing how we can help each other get farther along on our own paths.
Well, first off, give him a round of applause. And second off, does anybody have any questions for Max?
I like questions.
Oh, we already got 2 questions. So Scott spoke up first.
Usually I say ladies first, so Erica's up next.
Yeah.
So Max, I'm new to you, and I'm really impressed with your story. So you were talking about the whole 10-year transition to 3-year transition. So can you remember back to that first aha moment when it's like, I might have something here and I need to keep going? What was that driving force behind that?
That's happened twice. With my first website, the Midway Marketplace, it happened when I sold my first piece of equipment, which was sold for all of $3,500, and I got $350 for my trouble. But talk about when I got that check in the mail, it was like they had paid me $100,000 or something. It was, and then as the blind blogger, it's been the fact that so many people are already starting to say, Max, we're really looking forward to reading your next book. I think when you hear people start talking about they want to see what you're going to do next, that they've been following your progress, and when you meet somebody in person and they can actually mention some of your actual posts or things you've shared online, they mention those things back to you in person, you're like, dang, yeah, people are listening to me. And apparently they are inspired by me, and they're actually doing something after they're inspired by me, which is, by the way, I have a rule that I came up with while I was in New York City during Christmas. A woman asked me if I was upset when people called me an inspiration. I said I used to be, because I really didn't think I was doing anything all that special. I just show up every day and do the next job, however I have to do it. But I told her, I said, I've come up with a rule. From now on, people can call me inspirational as much as they want to, but they have to tell me what I inspired them to do. If they don't tell me what, because inspiration without activity is useless. So that's what I did, and that's what I've come to. But yeah, the aha moment was you meet people or you talk to people and you realize that you're actually making a difference in their day, in their lives. What was your name? Scott. Okay, I want to thank you so much for that question. I really needed that today.
No, not yet. Okay, hi, Joel. Not Joel.
How we doing? Yeah, we're doing good.
Hi, Max. This is Erica.
Hey,
and
Erica.
I wanted to know, you mentioned sometimes when you put that first blog post out and no one's reading it, how did you get the courage to keep going even when no one was reading it, and how did you get to a place where people knew that you were blogging?
Okay, I was very fortunate. I have 3 women in my blogging lives, and if I don't mention them whenever I'm doing an interview or an event, I'll be upset with myself. There's Farnish Brock, Adrienne Smith, and Robin Hallett. Adrienne Smith used to be known as the blog commenting superstar, and I don't know how I stumbled into her website, but I was blessed to be directed there somehow. And she taught me all about how if you're going to get people to read your blog, you have to borrow other people's audiences through blog commenting. And she taught me, and she said, Max, leave memorable comments on other people's blogs, share their content, get to know them, and then eventually they will ask you if there's something they can do to help you. And for example, like a year after I met Adrienne, she featured me in a Roundup post, and then a few months after that, she invited me to submit a guest post to her website, which is, even though she's no longer doing what she was doing, her old posts still get huge amounts of traffic. And that was the one thing she taught me. She said, you have to build relationships, and in the online world, the best way to build a relationship is to help the other person meet their goals. And so I started commenting. And online, if you've ever read any of my comments, you'll know that I'm kind of long-winded. I'm known as a chatty Cathy. I've started out 2017 to make brevity my word, but it's not working. The other thing is I am visually impaired, and there are not a lot of blind people blogging who are active in sighted communities. They tend to stay to post on sites that are also run by other visually impaired people. So I've been out there in the sighted world, and so I have the comments from the fact that I'm visually impaired in blogging. I have the fact that I usually leave long comments. Sometimes I'll even suggest that the author may have done better in their post, or tell them things that I wish they had covered. And of course, I can also talk about the amusement industry, growing up as a carnival owner. So I have many different things from my past to draw on when I leave those comments, and people read them and they're like, I don't know anybody else like that. And everybody has something about them that's so unique that if you can find a way to work it into the conversation during a blog or Twitter thread, that people will remember it. And if they feel like you're not just trying to get something from them, if they feel like you're helping them to their goals, they will eventually turn around and help you. The first radio or the first podcast interview I ever did as the blind blogger, I got because Ashley Fawkes had been seeing me on his website, and he reached out to me. That doesn't stop me from pitching my butt off and asking other people, but some of my greatest experiences and some of the traffic to my websites in the early days came from other people's sites because of that. Any other questions?
Oh, yeah, John.
Thanks for being here, Max.
Well, thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you for being here, too. I really appreciate you coming.
Yeah, I want to ask you, why do you do what you do?
I'm glad that Erica got me to talking about that before this talk, because in everything I do, it comes back to helping other people, whether it's helping a family sell a food trailer so they can keep it in the family business from one generation to the next, or encouraging somebody to actually take that first step with their blog, or reach out to somebody and ask for help, or to Last year, I got a comment from somebody who said he had been wanting to have a discussion with a family member on the topic that he was writing on, and they hadn't really ever talked about it in a serious way until he read my post, and he thought, well, if Max can talk about some of the stuff he does so openly, that it's about time that I address this with my family. And he's written so much better blog posts since he did that. But that's my overwhelming thing is does what I'm doing help other people get farther along towards their goal? And I get a lot of satisfaction when I get those posts from people, either who they did something or they told a friend of theirs about me and their friend decided to do something. Anybody else? Okay.
All right,
All right,
Max,
thank
thank you so much. Give it up for Max. Amy's on her way. Not a C+. I would agree. I think you got to give yourself more credit, Max. Well, one more time for Max. Oh, you know what? Actually.